Throughout history, man has created incredible structures that have stunned the world with their beauty and size. The ancient world saw some amazing structures that were way ahead of their time. Different from the 7 wonders of today's modern world, but nonetheless fascinating, keep your place in line as we cover the original 7 wonders of the world. Before we dive into the video, take a moment to subscribe and turn on notifications. Or don't and not be cool. Number 7. Lighthouse of Alexandria, Egypt. Built in 300 to 280 BCE on the island of Pharos just outside the city of Alexandria, this lighthouse was a masterpiece in its day and was revered for its craftsmanship. With a height of over 330 feet, the Lighthouse of Alexandria, second to the Great Pyramids of Giza, was the tallest man-made structure in the world. Made of white marble, the tower rose with 3 main sections, of which consisted of a rectangular portion that made up nearly half of its height, an octagonal section, and lastly the top portion, being cylindrical and holding a flame that served as a beacon to sailors at night. Atop the lighthouse was a statue of Zeus Sauter, and on both sides were statues of Triton blowing a conch shell. Romans were so proud of the lighthouse that they enshrined it on their imperial coinage from 81 to 192 CE. The daring architectural feat became a legend throughout the ancient world as a must-visit site. Unsurprisingly, the tower, which was built to such high standards, stood for over 1600 years before collapsing due to an earthquake in 1330 CE. Number 6. Colossus of Rhodes. Perched on its platform and standing 33 meters in height, the statue of Helios, the sun god, was proudly displayed in Rhodes. One of the most important harbor cities in the ancient Mediterranean, Rhodes served as a trading mecca. With 5 harbors, the island of Rhodes, in which the city shares the same name, was the perfect place to prosper from trade. The statue was created by local sculptor Chars, using only bronze to praise and commemorate their patron god and celebrate the hard-won freedom of the island. Sadly, the magnificent statue didn't last very long, falling some 55 years after its completion due to a large earthquake. The massive broken pieces of statue cluttered the docks of Rhodes for a millennium before being melted down in the mid-7th century CE. Number 5. Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. Residing in what is modern-day Turkey, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus was a massive tomb built for Mausolus, the ruler of Caria in 350 BCE. He had selected the already thriving city of Halicarnassus to be the capital, and after doing so, he made the city even grander, adding many new and beautiful buildings, a palace, and several temples. In his passing, the city decided to honor him for all his work by creating the massive mausoleum in which his body was laid to rest. The building was made of marble and adorned with striking sculptures all over. Following an earthquake that heavily damaged the building and a 15th century CE raid in which many pieces were cannibalized to build a castle, the structure no longer exists, but fragments of the once great monument remain. Number 4. Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Located on the western coast of modern-day Turkey, the Temple of Artemis was built during the 6th century BCE and was tremendous in size. More than doubling the size of one of the most famous Greek buildings, the Parthenon, Artemis Temple immediately was recognized as one of the 7 wonders for its sheer magnitude. The building took a staggering 120 years to build and was dedicated to the goddess of childbirth and fertility, Artemis. They dedicated the temple to Artemis in an effort to protect themselves from the neighboring city Lydia, which they had an up-and-down relationship with over hundreds of years. The Temple of Artemis was destroyed in a deliberate fire during the 4th century BCE and rebuilt, only to be destroyed again in the Gothic invasion of 267 CE. It was rebuilt one final time, then in 401 CE, a Christian mob tore it down for good. Today, only the foundation and a solitary column stand in what once was the greatest building in the ancient Mediterranean. Number 3. Statue of Zeus at Olympia. Master sculptor and architect Phidias, who had previously oversaw the construction of the Parthenon, was needed for the massive project at Olympia. Created in the 430s BCE, the statue, constructed of gold and ivory, was absolutely massive, and the sanctuary in which it was kept was equally impressive. Inside the sanctuary were epic scenes of chariot races and battles sculpted into the walls. Many of these decorative figures can still be seen today in the museum at the archaeological site of Olympia. Let us know in the comments below if you would take a trip to visit these ancient historical pieces of art. The statue of Zeus in all its glory was bigger than that of the Athena statue that once stood in the Pantheon. This depiction of Zeus, through the skilled eyes of Phidias, would become the standard representation of the god in Greek and Roman sculpture, coinage, and gemstones. The sculpture of Zeus stunned the ancient world for 1,000 years and was a must-see for anyone in attendance for the Olympic Games. Number 2. Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are the fabled gardens that supposedly adorned the capital of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Built by its greatest king, Nebuchadnezzar, the gardens were described as being very exotic and beautiful. The Hanging Gardens are heavily disputed by historians and the only one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world to be questioned on its reality. Some scholars debate whether or not the gardens were at Babylon or Nineveh, the ancient Assyrian capital. The debates stem from ancient writers who describe the gardens as being in Nebuchadnezzar's capital, Babylon, but the city's own historical records are silent on the matter, showing no such thing ever existing there. Number 1. Great Pyramid of Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza has stood the test of time very gracefully, having been located on the Giza Plateau near Cairo. The Great Pyramid was built during the reign of King Khufu, and its construction lasted 20 years. Until France's coveted Eiffel Tower was completed in 1889, the pyramid was the tallest structure ever built by man. Giza held the record for over 3,000 years, and the likelihood of modern structures lasting that long is very low. The official height of Giza is 479 feet tall and has a base width of 754 feet. The pyramid comprises over 2 million blocks of stone, with the biggest granite stones residing in King Khufu's chamber. The largest blocks still seem impossible to have been placed in an era with no mechanical advantages, and would even be near impossible with modern equipment, leaving the world skeptical.